All right. Joyce, if you would pass out the handout on love. Some of the people, some of y'all weren't here last week, so anybody that did not get that handout,
I got it.
would need it. Or you might need it. All right, we've been studying out of the book of 2 Samuel.
Read it.
And we got up to verse 27 in chapter 1. Joyce has also got an outline for the next few studies in 2 Samuel. Where we left off, David had made an ode, a song to David, to Saul and Jonathan, an ode to him. And when he was saying this ode, he came up to verse 26. In verse 26 of chapter 1 of 2 Samuel, it says, I am distressed for thee, my brother Jonathan. Very pleasant hast thou been unto me. Thy love to me was wonderful, passing the love of women. And then the name of the song was, How are the mighty men fallen, and the weapons of war perished. Now, the reason I have made a word study on love is that I have found that the word love in the English language is very, very shallow. You can use it for just about anything, even things you hate, you can use the word love for. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So our English language is kind of lacking. And on this particular verse, I had heard some people say that, and I'm going to be really blunt with you, that David was a homosexual. And I don't believe that was true whatsoever.
I don't either.
And I wanted to make sure that I had my words right. You know what? You need to make sure that your words are right that come out of your mouth.
Amen.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Okay, so I did a word study here. And let's start with Psalms 91:14. Somebody read that verse for me. I've got it printed out for you. Go ahead and read that one, someone. Psalm 91:14.
Because he has set his love upon me, therefore will I deliver him. I will set him on high because he has known my name.
Okay, here it says that God has set his love on you. And I wanted to point out that this love here says the word hashak, right, in Hebrew. But if you look down on the word where it says that Jonathan's love was to me, a love to me was wonderful, it's the word ahava. Two different words. But let's look at the word hashak first, about how in the Old Testament God has his love on you, right?
Right.
And if you look up the word, it says he delights in you,
Right.
he delivers you, he is set in love for you.
Right.
You know, so God has a hashak love, unlike the love that David had for Jonathan, which is a abaha love. Okay?
Right.
So let's go to 2 Samuel 18:22. Who's got that one? I mean, you got it, but go ahead and read it.
1 Samuel 18:22.
Yeah, 1 Samuel, sorry, 18:22. Somebody read that one.
And Samuel commanded his servants, saying, Commune with David secretly, and say, Behold, the king hath delight in thee, and all his servants love thee. Now therefore the king's son-in-law.
Yeah. There we have servants loving their masters.
Right.
Right? Another different word here, completely different word, aheb. Now, ahaba and aheb are very similar, if you notice that.
Right.
You'll find that a lot of the words are similar, and when we get to the Greek, I'll show you something else. Now, it says aheb is to have affection for. It could be sexually, or it could be otherwise, like a friend. But if you'll notice again, that's not the word that David used for the love of Jonathan. He used the word ahaba.
Right.
Which means the most common word, love. You know what I'm saying? The most common word. Like I love you, Norma. Is that okay?
That's okay.
That's a haba love.
Amen.
You know what I'm saying? Now let's go to the words that are a little more. If David was, I'm using this as an adversary. If David was a homosexual, I would think that they would use these words rather than the other words. Okay? Let's look at Songs of Solomon 1:2. Who's got that one? I want to read it.
Let him kiss with me. Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for thy love is better than wine.
Okay, here we have, and then again, the same word, I will love thee, O Lord, my strength. Okay, so you can use a word that's sexual, believe it or not, when it comes to your relationship with God. But this word is raham. And look what it says here. The root word of this word is to fondle. Right? Is to have compassion on, to love on, to dote on.
Right.
To love on. And this is a word that was used in the Songs of Solomon, which is a love story book. Really, truly it is. It's about the love of Solomon with his wife, but it's also about the love of the church with his bride.
Amen.
Okay. Proverbs 7:18. Here's another different word. No, I made a mistake here earlier. This is actually the most common word in the Old Testament used for love. It says in Proverbs 7:18, "Come, let us take our fill of love until the morning. Let us solace ourselves with loves." Now, this is talking, about different things here. It says here, dod. That's the word, dod. And it means to boil. Passion. You can be passionate, though. I can love Michael with passion and not be a homosexual.
That's right.
You know what I mean? I'm not, of course. But you know what I'm saying? We can have strong affection for men, and women can have strong affection for women without having it be wrong. So you have to realize that we need to realize that our words need to be chosen carefully.
That's where our English language lacks. That's why I say even some of the ones that are bilingual can relate that, especially in Spanish, because we have a lot more words that are more descriptive in the English. I mean, there's some things that they would say, well, what do you mean by that? When we first started, and I would have to use several words to express what I was trying to say, and he goes, well, you're only using one word. I'm like, yeah, because we have one word.
Yeah, we have one shallow word where we have to use sentences to explain that one word.
Right.
I'm serious. We have whole sentences that we have to explain one word. Or what kind of love are you talking about? Well, we only have the one word. Now, let's look at Songs of Solomon. Back at Songs of Solomon 1:15, it says, "Behold, thou art fair, my love. Behold, thou art fair, thou hast dove's eyes." Right? So he's talking about his girl, and he calls her my Raya, my fellow love, my female associate, my companion. Right? So when you say, I would not call Sister Norma my Ra'a, I'd call Joyce my Ra'a. Right?
Right.
Right. So there's words that mean different things here.
Absolutely. Keep
going here. I did the whole study. I got all the words here except one, and there's a reason I left it out. Okay, in Ezekiel 23:11, it says, "When her sister Aholibah saw this, she was more corrupt in her inordinate love than she, and in her whoredoms more than her sister in her whoredoms." There's Agaba. Now, if you look back, we had Ahaba,
right,
and now we have Agaba. Ahaba means a love of between two people, kind of like maybe a friendship even. But Agaba, so let me get it right, Agaba means an inordinate love, or an amorous, inordinate type love. In other words, you should not be loving what you're loving. Right?
Okay, like
she loved to be a whore. That's what this says right here.
Right.
Okay? I'm just being real blunt. I know you guys, you're all adults, so, or young people. Okay, then in Ezekiel 33:31 it says, "And they come unto thee as people cometh, and they sit as my people, and they hear thy words, but they will not do them. For with their mouth they show much love, but with their heart goeth after covetousness." Now this word here is agabim, which means much love, a whole lot of love. In other words, it says here, with their mouth they show you a whole lot of love, but with their actions they don't. Have you ever met somebody like that?
Yes.
Somebody who acts like they like you, but they really don't.
What do they call that now? A frenemy?
A frenemy? That's a good one. A frenemy. Well, agabim is a whole lot of that. Okay? Okay, and that completes all the words that were in the Old Testament. Now, I didn't give you all the scriptures. There's probably thousands. I had to look through and just pick a few out. And so if you get a dictionary that has it listed out, there's a whole lot of love in the Bible.
Right.
A whole lot of love in the Bible. Okay, New Testament. Who wants to read John 21:15 and 16? 2 verses.
So when they had dined, Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me more than these? He said unto him, Yea, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee. He said unto him, Feed my lambs. He said to him again the second time, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me? And he said unto him, Yea, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee. He had said unto him, Feed my sheep.
Okay, a lot of people teach about agapeo love or agape love. Agapeo and agape are the same thing. Agapeo is the original word, and agape is an action word, a verb. Okay? That's the only difference. Where agape is love, the love. Okay? Now you'll notice here that Jesus asked 2 questions, and he used the same word, agapeo. He says, do you agapeo love me?
Right.
Okay? And love in that sense is a social love or a moral love. Like God's love is a moral agape love. Okay? But look at this. He says that twice. Now turn the page. The very next verse, number 17, Jesus continues talking to Simon. And he says a third time, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me? Peter was grieved because he said unto him the third time, lovest thou me? And he said unto him, Lord, thou knowest all things, thou knowest that I love thee. And Jesus said unto him, Feed my sheep. Now, this is something, to me, it's a revelation, because you can't get this in the King James Version. He says love, love, love 3 times, right?
Right.
But the third time he says it, he does not say agapeo.
He says phileo.
He says phileo. And you know what that means, right?
Right.
That means a personal friendship from the heart. Phileo love. That's where we get the word Philadelphia at, the city of love. It's supposed to be. I don't know, I've never lived there. Don't want to go there. But it's supposed to be the city of love, of Philadelphia. Now Jesus said unto them first time, do you love me? And he says, sure, I love you. And then he said a second time, do you love me? But then the third time he said, do you love me as a deepest friend loves a friend and will give his life for him and lay his life for him? You know. And Peter said he did love him. Now, this was probably hard for Peter. You know, when did this happen? Do y'all know when this happened?
Shortly after he had denied him.
Shortly after he had denied him 3 times? How many times did he say he loved him?
3 times.
3 times. Don't you think this is Jesus saying, I forgive you once?
Yeah.
Twice.
I forgive you twice. And the 3rd time, I'm your best friend. That's pretty good. I was getting this when I was reading it. The 3rd time Jesus forgives us, he becomes our best friend. Because you know what? After we do it 3 times, we feel pretty miserable about our sin.
Right.
We don't want to do it no more because we've done it twice and it was bad for us the 1st and 2nd time. And the 3rd time it was even worse. But Jesus still has his arms outstretched for you.
Yeah.
It's wonderful stuff. Okay, one more word in the New Testament, Mark 12:38. It says, and he said unto them in his doctrine, beware of the scribes, not me, which love to go in long clothing and love salutations in marketplaces. Now this word love here is thelo. That's somebody who loves religion.
Yes.
Thelo. We get the word thelos, God.
Yes.
It means loving God to the point where you think you love God more than everybody else and you love him more than people.
Yeah.
Guess what? You can't touch God with your fingers yet.
No.
But you can touch people.
Right.
Amen.
That's arrogant.
And God is in those people.
Yeah.
And it says sometimes we even entertain angels unawares. Be careful how you treat people.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
All right. Hopefully y'all got everything you need to know about how bad the English language is now. Right? All right. Love. Love.
That's why you have to study it.
You do. You really do have to study it. And as I've been studying this stuff, let's keep going. We are in 2 Samuel. Let's go to chapter 2, where David becomes the true king. And it came to pass after this that David inquired of the Lord, saying, Shall I go up into any of the cities of Judah? And the Lord said unto him, Go up. And David said, Whither shall I go up? And he said unto Hebron. So David went up thither, and his 2 wives also, Ahinoam the Jezreelitess, and Abigail, Nabal's wife, the Carmelite. Of course, Nabal had a heart attack.
Right.
And his men were with him. Did David bring up every man with his household, and they dwelt in the cities of Hebron. And the men of Judah came, and there anointed David king over the house of Judah. And they told David, saying that the men of Jabesh Gilead were they that buried Saul. We'll stop there. Okay, so after David's, they had this ode on the other chapter, then it starts talking about David's life again.
Right.
He goes to a city called Hebron. And does anybody know what's important about Hebron? Why didn't he go to Jerusalem? Why didn't David go to Jerusalem? Ain't that the city of David? He went to Hebron and he set up shop there. Wives, families, men.
The Lord told him to go there.
He asked the Lord, didn't he?
Yeah.
And the Lord told him to go there. That's good. That's a great answer. But also, God being in His wisdom, Hebron is the city of refuge. If you kill somebody else, accidentally or in war, you can go to Hebron and the brother can't come after you there. It's against the rules. It's against the law. It's against the law of Moses.
Right.
So Hebron was the city of refuge. And I just wanted to point that out. And it was interesting how God chooses a city where nobody's going to attack that city.
Right.
For David. David packed up his family and all of his men and their families and went to Hebron. David was anointed by the men of Judah to be king over the kingdom. God had already told him that he was king, hadn't he?
Yep.
He anointed him. Let me tell you, let me give you this little hint. Sometimes we have to catch up with what God wants us to be.
That's right.
He says, you are this. And you go, no, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
I can't do that.
Yep.
You told yourself that? I can't. God says, yes, you can. I've anointed you for that purpose.
That's right.
You know, it's just like going into the oil field. You know, I doubt you're going to be a roughnecker, though, since you have a piece of paper. God bless you. I wish I had a piece of paper like that. You know, when you go into your first job and all of a sudden, roughnecker over there. No, I'm over here looking at the equipment, making sure it's working right. You know? Yeah, I know what he's going to be doing over there. God bless him. But God has a plan for each and every one of you, and sometimes we have to catch up with what God wants us to be. Right. Because we are so sinful, we lose it. Hey,
we do.
I'm just being truthful. We blow it.
Yeah.
We blow it. But God has a plan, and He says, I've gotten rid of all that sin. You just need to walk away from that and follow after my voice.
That's right.
And that's what David was doing. I mean, he was going through some hard times. But he got his wife and kids back, and that was something that was nice. Now let's go to verse, where am I at? Oh yeah, David heard that Saul's body had been recovered. Y'all remember us talking about that in 1 Samuel 31, 11 through 13. They had taken Saul's head and they nailed it up to a wall outside the city on the gate wall, and then inside the temple they nailed up his body. Of course, the men of Jabesh Gilead went and in the night and took the body and burned it first, and then buried it, so that the enemy couldn't get a hold of it. Let's go to verse 5. David sends a blessing. David sent messengers of the men unto the men of Jabesh Gilead, and said unto them, Blessed be ye of the Lord, that ye have showed this kindness unto your Lord, even unto Saul, and have buried him. Now the Lord showed kindness and truth unto you. I also will requite you this kindness, because you have done this thing. Therefore now let your hands be strengthened, be valiant, for your master Saul is dead. Also the house of Judah have anointed me king over them. Okay, now I'm going to stop there. David gives the blessing to the men. He sends a messenger with a blessing to the men of Jabesh Gilead. And does anybody know in Hebrew what the blessing is in the Hebrew word? Blessing. Every time you say our president's name.
Hail.
Hail the king. Barack Obama means bless the destroyer. Okay? I know they're going to crucify me one day.
I don't receive that in Jesus.
Okay. Now, in verse 6, it says that the Lord would show them some things. The men of Gilead for treating Saul's body in the way that they did. What did he say they would be given?
A reward of his unfailing love.
Unfailing love. Kindness
right?
And truth will be unto you. And what is truth? What is truth?
Lord.
Jesus asked that question. Come on. Y'all look up, since y'all don't know, first John chapter 1:14 and John 14:6. Y'all look those two scriptures up. John 1:14, John 14:6, and I ask the question, what is truth? John 1:14 and John 14:6.
The Word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld His glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth.
Full of grace, truth, the Word that dwelt among us, right? What's the other one say? John 14:6.
Jesus told them, I am the way, the truth, and the life. That no one can come to the Father except through me.
So don't ever forget, if somebody asks you what is the truth,
Jesus.
Jesus is the truth. The Word of God is the truth. Okay, back in 2 Samuel chapter 2, verse 6, it says, I will also requite you this kindness. First he's saying God will give it to you. And then he says, I will requite it to you. I had to look up that word. I did not know what requite meant. It means to do. Real simple. I will do this to you just like God is doing it to you. I will give you kindness and I will give you the truth. And he also gives him a blessing. He blesses them. He says, may your hands be strengthened. And I'll give you this blessing too. May your hands be strengthened and may you be valiant. And that means courageous, right?
Right.
For your master Saul is dead. Also the house of Judah have anointed me to be king over them. He is now king over Judah, not over Israel. Okay, you got a problem here now. Let's go to verse 8. We'll continue just a little bit. I got a few more minutes. But Abner, son of Ner, captain of Saul's host, took Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, and brought him over to Mahanaim, and made him king over Gilead, and over the Asherites, and over Jezreel, and over Ephraim, and over Benjamin, and over all Israel. Verse 10, Ishbosheth, Saul's son, was 40 years old when he began to reign over Israel. He reigned 2 years, but the house of Judah followed David. And the time that David was king in Hebron over the house of Judah was 7 years and 6 months. Now, we're going to learn a lot about this guy named Ishbosheth. But we already learned a little bit about Abner. Abner was Saul's right hand.
Right.
And when Saul was killed, David was anointed over the house of Judah. But Abner, being the leader of all the armies, decided that Saul's kingdom should continue going, even though this was not God's plan, because God said that David would be the king. So they set up this guy named Ishbosheth. Now this is very interesting about Ishbosheth. His name used to be something else. It was called Ishbaal. Ishbaal, right? Man of Baal, or man of the Lord of the Canaanites, right? Baal gods, right? Baal. But they changed his name. Let me tell you what they changed his name to. If you have a little boy and you want to change, you say, it says here that he is a man of the devil.
Right.
That's what his first name was. Let's change it to Ishbosheth instead of Ishbaal. Ishbosheth means man of shame.
Okay, can we get any worse?
I know. But Abner, the commander-in-chief of Saul's army, set Ishbosheth up as a puppet king. And we're going to find out later on what kind of king he was. And there's going to be a whole lot of mystery and spy intrigue in the next few chapters of this book. And all these people he set up to be under Ishbosheth were loyal to Saul, especially the Benjamites. They were all very, very loyal to Saul. So this was not hard for Abner to do. Abner became, I'm going to say this, the chancellor of Israel. And do you know in World War II who the chancellor of Germany was?
Hitler.
Hitler was the chancellor. Do you know he was not the leader? He was the chancellor. Just like in England, they have a king, but you know.
I know the
Prime Minister.
Prime Minister. Thank you. The Prime Minister actually runs the country. Yep. Same thing here. We have Abner running the country, and we have Ishbosheth set up as a puppet king. Okay, and this is going to have some very interesting things that happen to poor Ishbosheth. Now I've got a few more minutes. He took over some of these. He united these kingdoms. One of them was the Ashurites, and that means that was in the north, and that name means successful. And in the central part of Israel was Jezreel. That means God will sow. And then Ephraim was in the center, which means double fruit. And then Benjamin, the son of the right hand, was to the south. And then David ruled in Hebron, and Ishbosheth in Mahanaim. And Mahanaim, where the capital is for the Israelites, that means double camp. It's the capital of Gilead. It's where they set up that camp. All right. That brings me to 2 Samuel chapter 2, verse 12. And we are going to, next week, we're going to study civil war in Israel and Judah. All right. Praise the Lord.